There's a movie with 100% score on Rotten Tomato and all the good ratings from other sites as well. And honestly, I didn't believe the hype at first. I was just as skeptical as anyone would be. But after watching it last week, I get it. The Age of Shadow isn't just highly rated, it earns every bit of that praise. Hello everyone, I'm Ejin Jin, and this is my final movie project, The Age of Shadow. This film brings together some of the most powerful names in Korean cinema. Song Kang-ho, known internationally for Parasites and iconic historical films like The President's Barber and A Taxi Driver. And there are Lee Byung-hun and Gong Yoo, whose global recognition skyrocketed after Squid Game. In this movie, Song Kang-ho played as Lee Jung-choo, a Korean police officer working for the Japanese colonial government. Gong Yoo as Kim Woo-jin, a key member of the Korean independence movement. And Lee Byung-hun as Chesan, the leader of the Korean independence group. This movie was directed by Kim Ji-won. The Age of Shadow is a 2016 South Korean historical spy thriller that pulls us into the dark, tense world of Korea under Japanese colonial rule. In the 1920s, during Japanese colonial rule over Korea, everyday life was shaped by fear and control. Korea was under strict rule by Imperial Japan, and even small acts of resistance could cost someone their life. Even with these backgrounds, Korean independence groups were formed, and they were forced, obviously, to operate in secret, both inside and abroad, especially in Shanghai. So here's a picture of their volunteer heroic group. Shanghai, which became the key base of underground resistance. At the same time, Japanese colonial police closely monitored and infiltrated these groups, creating an atmosphere filled with suspicion, betrayal, and constant fear. Here's some uniforms of the Japanese colonial police. Usually, in a movie about resistance, we expect a clear victory. Right? The heroes overcome some obstacles and defeat the enemy, but The Age of Shadow does the opposite. From the very beginning, betrayal exists with resistance itself. These betrayal cost lives. The film shows that resistance is not heroic or clean. It's dangerous, painful, and often tragic. Yet, even though failures and lose, something important begins to change. The story follows Lee Jung-choo, a Korean-born officer working for Japanese authorities. His job is to hunt down Korean independence fighter. He is assigned to track the underground group attempting to smuggle explosives from Shanghai into Korea. But as Lee gets closer to the resistance key member, Kim Woo-jin, he begins to question everything: his loyalty, his identity, and his moral responsibilities. He's no longer sure who the enemy truly is. The film unfolds as a psychological battle filled with double agents and shifting allegiance. In the end, the Korean independence group does manage to bring explosive into Korea. However, another traitor betrays them by revealing their rendezvous location to the police, leading the capture of the entire group. The traitor also arranges a meeting between Captain Lee and Kim Woo-jin, allowing the authority to arrest both men with evidence. During the trial, Captain Lee breaks down in court and claimed that everything he did was part of his mission to infiltrate and dismantle the resistance. His performance convinces the Japanese authority, sparing him from spending the rest of his life in prison. And as he was crying here in the scene, because the resistant group previous to this point really helped him a lot, and he do want to be a part of the member that freeing his own country. What they do not realize is that Lee now secretly possesses the explosives. This was Kim's final plan. At least one of them had to survive, so the sacrifice of the resistance would not be meaningless. Carrying that responsibility, Lee plants the bomb at the meeting of high-ranking Japanese officials. Rather than focusing on victory, The Age of Shadow asks a deeper and more unsettling question. When offered material rewards by a colonial ruler, would you turn your back on your own people, or would you risk your life for a greater cause, choosing resistance and the hope of freedom, even when the personal cost is high and the outcome might be uncertain? Though some attacks from the independence group were not always successful in history, but they let the Japanese know with this one that Koreans of all ages were fighting for independence. By focusing on inner conflicts rather than clear heroes, the film offers a powerful and realistic portrayal of life under colonial rule and the heavy cost of choosing to resist. In the picture on the left, Kim Sung-ok, the independence fighter who bombed the police station, and it was the facility that they used to torture a lot of the freedom fighters. And King Won-bom on the right, he was a member of the independence group, and his role was organizing anti-Japanese resistance, including plots like the one in the Age of Shadow. This movie, along with this course, really broadened my understanding of Korean history. I completed my elementary school and part of middle school in China, and I've known that Chinese and Korean history were in the early 1900s were shared many similarities, especially in terms of conflict with Japanese imperialism. However, before taking this class, I didn't know much of the specific historical events Korea experienced during that period. Through this course, and especially through films like The Age of Shadow, I was able to learn about these events through a more human and emotional lens. The movie made me reflect. The movie made me reflect on how, even during dark and oppressive times, like 1920s, there were many Korean patriots willing to risk their lives for independence. Although their immediate impact may not have seemed significant, their actions carried the deeper meaning. They showed their fellow citizens that resistance was still possible, and that one day Korea could reclaim its country and its identity. Thank you very much.